What's going on, everybody? Welcome to IndieQuest, the celebration of the indie and obscure. I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined by one of the hosts I took off guard, the captain himself, Captain Drachma. How's it going, Seth?
People can see behind the curtain a little bit there because I was just delayed on my I'm also ready. And then Josh, I was looking down at my notes and saying I should have been looking at Josh's face and I would have known not to start talking. But yes, I am doing well, other than the fact that we record on Sundays. We've said that several times. And unfortunately, we're out here springing forward. And I tell you what, takes me off guard every single time. Yep. Woke up at the dogs woke me up at 7:30, and I'm like, there is no way it is 7:30. And then I'm like, oh no, look at the oven, and it's actually, well, it is 7:30, but it should be 6:30. I'm like, gosh dang it.
Yep, that's the worst. Oh, I'm also joined by the other co-host, just chilling here with his awesome bandana. It's Steve. How's it going?
Going good. Yeah, my son normally wakes up at about 7:30, and he decided today out of nowhere to wake up at 6:30, which is actually 5:30 according to daylight savings time because we're an hour ahead. So it's, I would say his attitude today reflected a toddler that woke up 2 hours early, but it's all good now because mom's putting him to bed, and we're going to talk about indie games. All right, we're post daylight savings toddler. So I'm feeling good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I just woke up at 9 o'clock and I was like, it feels earlier than that. And yeah, that's the only story I have with that. That's every year though.
No dogs, no kids, good living. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm just here. But it's just like, oh man, got to get up and just play video games all day. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. That's one less hour of video games, But I started Resident Evil 2 for the first time, the remake. So that's what I've been playing. So that's, honestly, the game kind of slaps. It's way better than I expected. Yeah, it's really good. So enjoying it so far.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of indie games, Nintendo is doing a direct every 2 weeks now, it feels like, and they had an Indie World event. This one was pretty good. I feel like the main thing that we learned from it was here's some release dates for some games we've heard about, right? That's for the most part. Any highlights for you guys during this thing?
Yeah, I think that Heave Ho 2 looks like a game that would be very fun at Polycon.
Yeah.
Yeah. To hang out and for all of us to play. It's just a goofy little physics game. Kind of reminds me of Mount Your Friends a little bit. And so, yeah, that's probably why I thought of it.
Yeah, just trying to hold the button down. I played the first one when it first came out. It's pretty much you just have to hold the button and one person messes up the chain of everybody together. It's just everyone falls and then shenanigans happen and you're yelling at your friend. That type of game. So
yes.
Yeah, good times.
Mm-hmm.
Denshattack got a release date, which I did play the demo on Steam Next Fest. This is a heater, guys. We got to be on the out. This is a day one for me. Steve, you're gonna love it. Seth, I think you would enjoy it too. Crazy. Basically, Jet Set Radio vibes. You're playing as a train that's going infinitely forward and blasting through everything, and then you do a bunch of trick combos like Tony Hawk, try to get your score higher and higher, and do kind of platforming challenges as you go through it too at the same time. So it's trick score multiplier plus cool vibes plus good music plus awesome graphics. It's this is a game for me. I'm excited for it. So that's 17th of June.
I love it so much. It feels like a game that should be import only on the Sega Dreamcast, but for some reason it's actually an indie game coming out in 2026. So yeah, it comes out only a few days after my birthday. I'm not even playing the demo because it's I've seen enough. I'm sold, and I just want 100% fresh because it looks so good.
I do want to mention that we've talked in the past about how we each have tastes and how we attempt to know each other's tastes, and especially over time, we've grown to learn each other's taste. My first thing on my list from this Indie World is Josh will bring Denshattack. So
Yeah,
I
probably.
crushed it. Yeah. I mean, it's very possible that Steve also would have talked about it. So I guess maybe it's I'm lucky that Josh talked first. But I was like, oh, yeah, that's a Josh game. So
Well, yeah, Steve and I have a very like a Venn diagram, and this is kind of like right in the middle of that of our taste. I'd say, yeah, for sure,
very much so. Speaking of, I guess, your guys' tastes, it was something that I felt like this was like abnormally prevalent in this indie world was just existing games coming to Switch, which is nice to see, which in a lot of cases is actually an announcement that a game is coming to consoles in general. But they announced that Mini Shoot Adventures is coming to Switch, and it turns out it's also coming to PlayStation as a result. And so now it's on consoles, and I never played it back in the day. So I think I'm much more likely to get around to it.
It seems like a lot of people in the Discord have already been playing it on Switch or wherever, because I've seen so many screenshots, and every time I see one, I'm like, that's a dang good game right there.
it's so good. I was hoping for a sequel because it popped up and I saw the graphics. I was like, oh, it's Mini Shoot. Wait, this isn't on consoles? And it's been 2 years and it never came to consoles for whatever reason. Now it's finally on everything. It's on Game Pass too, so I know that I've seen a couple people getting excited. It's like, oh, I already paid for Game Pass and here's this, indie I've heard a lot about that I just don't play on PC. So here we go,
Yeah,
exactly.
Can't wait.
I'll give a shout out to Blighted,
Yeah.
which I think we talked about the last time we talked about Indie World, and gosh dang, I can't wait for that game. I still can't wait for it, just like I couldn't wait for it the last time. So it's going to be a very early, if not day one purchase for me, just based off of looks, and obviously the Drinkbox is incredible at making video games, so I trust that they will be good at making this genre, even though they haven't really touched on it a whole lot in the past. But I'm very excited for Blighted.
Yeah, it looks to me. I'm not gonna lie. This gameplay showing didn't wow me as much as I was expecting from the game, but I feel like it's one I need to get my hands on the sticks and just to see how it feels, because I know they always deliver really fun games. So yeah. Is that one a roguelike, or is it or roguelite, whatever, or is it just a Metroidvania? It was hard to tell.
I'm not sure because I've only ever really watched trailers of it and been like, yeah, I'm in. But it seems like it could be a Hades-like to me, but maybe it isn't also. I don't know. I didn't look too far into it either of the past 2 times I talked about it. So.
Yeah, I don't know if they've mentioned what kind of genre it is. To me, it looks like Hades. You do a run.
Yeah.
And it's very reminiscent of that. But it could be something else because it is a Guacamelee, guys. So,
yes.
If you trust the Google AI overview, which often you should not, they say it's an isometric Metroidvania action RPG, not a traditional roguelike. So,
okay, there we go. That makes me even more interested.
Maybe it's a little more Crypt Custodian, a little less Hades. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm kind of into
same.
So I think that's why I don't care. It's like, give me whichever. I like the look of the game. I like what looks like will be the gameplay. If I die and restart, fine. If I don't, that's also fine. So yeah, I'm ready to play it either way.
I will say I'm not over the moon excited for this game. It's probably not one that I would get day one, but something that I'll give a shout out to that I think most people would overlook is Woodo, that really cute wood sculpture creation game. It just seems like the type of thing that fits in very cleanly with unpacking Venba. It's just like a 1 to 2 hour vibe out and just tinker with your hands kind of game. And it's freaking gorgeous. So I might actually check that one out if it's not too expensive, and depending on the release calendar at the time.
Yeah, it feels like a good I got an evening. I'm just gonna do some fun and cute puzzles. That's what it looks like. Yeah, can't go wrong there though.
Yeah, exactly.
The last one I want to shout out is Mixtape has finally got a release date. I've talked about this game to death, but they are finally putting a date on it. It's 7th of May. It's the vibes coded game with a really massive soundtrack from a bunch of hair bands and bands of the 80s and 70s, and it just has lots of good classic rock in it, and it looks like it's going to be a Mixtape and all the levels are going to be like one song or something like that. Or I don't know, the vibes. That's what the vibes I get from it. It just looks like a good time. It looks like a game that I think all of us would like.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it has a very IndieQuest energy to it. You know,
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah, there was only one reason why I didn't put this on my list, because I knew one of you would talk about it because it was Annapurna.
Yeah.
And so I figured that's a streak that was never going to be broken by the two of you. So
Fair. Yes.
I did want to shout out that wasn't on the American Direct, but on the Japanese Direct, they announced Ooh came to Switch 2.
Oh.
Well, Switch and Switch 2. So,
Heck yeah.
which is like, you know, that's our IndieQuest Game of the Year last year, so might as well shout it out. You know, why not? That's a banger. So if you haven't played it and you have a Switch, you need to check that out.
if Ooh ever comes to PlayStation, I will play it again.
Same. 100%. I'll put that platinum on the
Get all
account.
those trophies.
For sure.
I mean, just a reason to experience it again. You know, it's just I'd be there.
All right, well, that's an indie. I almost want to say Nindy Direct because that's what they called them for the longest time. But it's the Nintendo Indie World from last week. It was good. I liked it. I enjoyed the watch. Nothing blew me away, but obviously we all pay attention to the indie scene, so a lot of these names we already knew about, already seen before. But I just imagine somebody who just had no idea what Moonlighter 2 was or whatever, and then just finding like their new favorite game through this thing. It's always cool. So wanted to highlight that a little bit today. But besides that, we do a thing on the show where we highlight indie games. I tried for a segue. It kind of worked.
Yeah.
We have it's called the Quest Log. It's our ever-growing list of recommended indie games. There's 2 segments to it. The main quest, which is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. This is a game that we all recommend from the bottom of our hearts. This is a game that you, your mom, and your pet iguana will love. I keep using pet iguana because I think it sounds great. And then we got the side quest, which is still a recommendation. There might be a caveat or two. It might be like an 8 out of 10. Might have got a B on their report card, but that game is still really good and you should put it on your backlog. So I want to go in the middle today. So you guys find out who wants to go first and last.
I'm actually quite happy to go first. I feel like my game is
Okay.
It's good mozzarella sticks. It's a good appetizer, all right? I'm ordering this game for the table. We can all snack on it as we wait for our food to arrive. And there's like a 3% chance that this is what Seth brought, and there's just a real satisfaction these days to taking him out at the knees. So
I can tell you, Steve, there's a 0% chance
Okay.
that whatever you're bringing is what I brought.
All right, fair. I'm bringing a 2026 game. Little title called Love Eternal. Are you boys? Did you bring it too, Josh?
Yeah.
Yes!
Again.
It keeps happening.
2026 is like
Yeah.
a year for weirdness, man.
Okay,
Holy
I got a
crap.
backup game that we'll talk about then
Oh,
instead.
all
So I
right.
do have a backup because I did see it was on your wish list, but I was like, did you play? You must have played it on a different platform than Steam then.
Love Eternal?
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah, I pounded that thing on PlayStation last night, so you would have had no way to get out ahead of it.
Okay.
Sometimes
Go
my
ahead.
Steam wish list
Introduce
is just a reminder of what I plan on buying on PlayStation later. So I love this. I'm going to go first forever.
I will mention that I gave this game a hard look.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Didn't play it, haven't purchased it even, but was perusing the PlayStation Store and gave it a hard.
All right.
So I'm very interested.
All right. Well, it's appearing here on the show, so you can already lock in those $10. It's pretty safe. So Love Eternal, developed by. This is maybe the hardest game of all time to name the publisher and developer. It's developed by Brlka, Brlka,
Okay.
Brlka, and it's published by Ysbryd Games, Ysbryd Games, and that's actually a relatively big publisher. It's the same publisher that published like Demon School. So hard name to say, but not a stranger to the industry at all. I actually don't know. At least as far as Steam releases, this is the first one by Brlka, so it seems to be an earlier title. Came out this year. It's a 2026 game. Came out February 19th. It's available on everything, which was surprising to me. It's on all the old consoles, all the new consoles, so 4, 5, Switch 2, Xbox One Series, and on PC. So you got a device hooked up to your TV, you can play Love Eternal. Good news for you. It is a horror precision platformer, which is, I think of genres sometimes like Pokemon type pairings, and there's certain ones that just don't show up a lot where you're like, yo, did you just say ice bug? There can only be like 2 or 3 of those max. This is one of those where you're like, horror precision platform. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I do have to ask before you go forward, Steve, did you feel like you were breaking your October rule?
A little bit.
Or is this just...
A little bit.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. It's not too horror-y. It's certainly no Resident Evil 2 that Josh booted up, but
yeah,
it's good. I mean, there are things that you could reasonably describe as jump scares in this game. I guess, Josh, how scared were you while playing it?
I will say it has less of a like horror feeling. Like it's more like a Twin Peaks where it's just eerie. Like, like you're in a place where you're not sure what's going on. And it's kind of creepy more than like I'm like scared out of my gourd because there's something chasing me, or something like that.
Yeah, it's maybe more like creepypasta adjacent in some ways, but yes. I mean, so in terms of the story, you play as a woman named Maya, relatively young woman, and the game starts, you wake up in your bedroom, it seems like you were napping, and you go out and you join your family in the living room. They're having a dinner, and there just seems to be like some tension between you and your sibling and your parents. Like it's a relatively uncomfortable dinner where you're like, what's going on here? And before you can really sort that out or like figure out what's going on, there's a phone call in the hallway, which is in a different room from the dining room. And your parents say, oh, can you go answer the phone? You go, you pick it up, and it's just a dial tone confirming that this is, in fact, a horror game. It's just a dial tone on the other end. And so you're like, okay. And then you go back out to the dining room to go back to eating with your family. They're all gone all of a sudden. And so you're like, that's weird. And you walk out your front door, and rather than being in whatever suburban neighborhood you live in, instead you're in this giant labyrinthine stone castle monument dungeon thing. Yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah. And I will say that's one of the things I found quite striking about the game is it has this very like high fidelity pixel art look to it. And some of that is really good. In particular, a lot of the backgrounds are really nice. There's some like good like faux lighting and just like good scenes of like power lines and like palm trees and stuff that's just, sometimes it's just quite nice to look at. Sometimes it's like very effective and creepy. These like giant monument statues in the background with like nets draping off of them and stuff. It strikes a very unique tone that a lot of other games don't have. So kudos to them for that.
Everything has like this, like, I don't know how to cool tone to it. Like it has like very like the art style is just so cool to me. I think it just strikes. It's very striking. It's like the nicest like low bit, but also high bit pixel art because they don't use a lot of colors. It's more like shades of blue, shades of red, shades of this or that. But it has helped the platforming challenges too, where you have to like hit very specific marks. You can like line it up with the background element, or even you can see like the very like bright character who wears the red dress, and then like the gems she has to collect and stuff. So I think the lack of colors, even without that, it still looks so good because of the gameplay, and it just damn, it just leaps off the screen right when you see a gameplay trailer for this.
It gives me What If Celeste, but horror.
Yes.
That's
yes.
And maybe you guys are going to get to that eventually, but that's really, if I were to explain what it looks like, that is exactly what it looks like to me. So
in fact, as I talk about the real core mechanic of the game, I will add an addendum to your statement that it is Celeste with some VVVVVV in there, but horror. That's what it really is. So
okay.
There's only two buttons that you can do in the game. One of them is jump. I refuse to describe to you what that does. You can either intuit it yourself or go play any video game for the first time. And the second is to flip, which is to flip gravity at any point. And so whenever you press square, gravity flips and you will fall towards the ceiling, or if you're on the ceiling, you will fall back towards the floor. With the important caveat for the puzzling that you need to land on the ground before you can flip again. So you can't just like flip to like float and hover. You have to set your feet back down on the ground before you gain another flip. With the one exception being, there are a lot of rooms in the game that it's added in very quickly, and this is kind of like the one mechanical mix-up that they really ever do in the game, is there are these floating red crystals in the environment. If you shatter a red crystal by passing through it while you're in the air, you are given one flip without touching the ground. So every time you hit a crystal, now you can flip gravity one more time. And so it's that way you're solving a lot of puzzles where you're kind of snaking through the screen, hitting a crystal at the right moment and flipping so you can weave around spikes and obstacles and things like that.
So you have an initial flip.
Yeah.
You can flip right away, and then the only way to get another one is to hit a red crystal.
Yep,
right.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the puzzles aren't ever designed to do this. So I guess I don't know. Maybe you know, Josh. Can you bank multiple flips by hitting multiple crystals? They pretty much always design the puzzles where you're going to use a flip the second you get a crystal to navigate, but I'm not actually sure.
I honestly think the levels are designed so well that you don't really ever have an opportunity to do that. Like you said, like it's like you're going to be going around this like spiky wall that's sticking out, and there's spikes all the way around it, and you have one gem, or there might be two gems to collect, but you're going to be flipping the other way when you collect the other gem, doing like your flip over, kind of doing like a tuck and roll almost sometimes with this game. You like tuck, you hit the thing, you roll, you hit it again, and you hit the next gem, and you flip again. And it's like sometimes you have to chain like 5 or 6 or sometimes like 10 of those in a row to get to the other side of these. Like basically it's like Celeste, you die and you just start at that checkpoint every single time, and you just keep trying those precision platforming segments over and over. Yeah Type of game where you touch spikes, you explode, and within a second and a half you're back and doing the level again. It is a outrageously generous game with checkpoints and save points, to the point where like often you get a save point at the end of a room, and then you'll walk to the next screen and there's a save point at the beginning of that room too. They like actually don't even want to make you do the screen transition again. No. No runbacks in this game.
Yeah,
really.
Literally none. It's room by room by room. You solve a room once, you're done. Like you're not going to have to do that room a second time. The game does so. This is where we enter into like, just take me at my word here territory, because there's a little energy to this game, in that regard. In terms of the precision platforming, which is, I would say, a significant bulk of the game, that is the only change up they never do. They don't add in other mechanics. They don't add in any other systems, abilities, anything like that. It's always just rooms built out of spikes and or lasers that'll kill you in one shot, and flipping to find either land that you can stand on the ceiling or floor, and those red crystals. The game does mix it up in some other ways, but we will not be talking about that at this time. But there is certainly some shakeups that happen in Love Eternal. Multiple times, actually, in a strange way. It does a couple of things that I really enjoyed, I will say. Something almost like a little targeted to me, I feel like. It would be targeted to a lot of people, but there was some elements to it where I'm like, all right, that's pretty good. That's pretty fun. So, and I don't know. I haven't actually watched the trailer on Steam. I would assume that none of that stuff is shared, so I wouldn't want to share it.
As far as I can tell, I'm just watching the trailer as you're talking to see if it is the things, both plural, that you're talking about that are very surprising. And I think this is one I don't want to spoil, even if Seth decides to play this game, because I think getting to it and experiencing those moments are very special, because this game has a special secret sauce to it that it's kind of like you guys all talking about Inscription or something, like, it's like, we don't want to spoil the fun part, because the fun part is getting these things just thrown at you. There's kind of a couple little twists in this. So
yeah, it's when the first one happened, I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
This is what we're doing now. Okay. Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here for it.
I have watched a little bit of the gameplay, and I don't know how long this happens for, but how often are you traveling from right to left? Does it happen regularly? Because it's so weird watching it and knowing that 99% of these kinds of games are always going right. So seeing them going left is strange,
Yes, pretty often actually. Like the game, it doesn't really adhere left to right. You kind of just come in and out of rooms any which way. It's almost designed. The map almost has like a little gated exploration energy to it in terms of its layout. Not at all in terms of the game design or mechanics. You're never like doubling back in that way, but you will often like come in from the bottom and leave out the right side of the screen. Or like you said, come in from the right and leave out the left. Or sometimes for really no reason at all, there'll be like 2 hallways in a room and you'll run right to left on the lower hallway, and then 8 rooms later, you'll have come up and around and you'll be running left to right on the other hallway to connect to some other place. And like, other than just being like, hey, I remember that, it's not like you get the missile upgrade and now you can blast through the floor and it's a shortcut. Yeah. It's just, that's just how they wanted to lay out the map. It's a pretty short game, I will say. I don't know how long it took you, Josh. I don't want to flex, but only took me 2.5 hours. So
Jesus,
I'm built different like that.
My Steam time is way off because I literally left the Steam Deck on with it sitting there. So I'm thinking it took me around 7 or so, give or take.
I would be surprised if it took you 7. You're kind of a God gamer. You're a Celeste fan. Come on now.
I don't know how long it took. I said my timer says 13 hours, and I'm like, that is way incorrect. And like, there's no way it took me that long. So I just said, I played it like 3 sessions, and this is one where I played a stage and I set the Steam Deck down. I played a stage, set the Steam Deck down type of game, because it's like kind of designed that way. So it was on the pause for probably 2/3 of that. So let's say 4 hours, probably 4 or 5.
Okay,
I don't know. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
I will say you have to be pretty proficient in your skills at puzzle or precision platforms for this game. I would say it's more like closer to like the end of Celeste difficulty than the beginning for most of the game. So, that is actually really good perspective, because I was quite literally just about to say, I feel like to me it leaned on the easier side of precision platformers, but there's like maybe 3 or 4 rooms in the game that are just way harder than everything else. I say that's probably where I'm coming from, because like it's a lot of the challenges I'm like, okay, I die like once or twice, no big deal, or I won't die at all. And then there's like a few times where I'm like, oh, I've died like 9-10 times in this room. Okay, let's lock in and get this done. That type of feeling. So it has a lot of that. I think that somebody who's not into the genre at all, this is going to be an easy avoid probably, just because of that. Because I think but I think the game is so cool. This game is really cool. It's so unique too. So I don't know. Where do you come down on that one, on the difficulty side?
Yeah, it felt to me a little uneven, but not in a majorly detrimental way. But I don't know how many times I died in the game. Let's say 500 times I died total. Probably, honestly, probably like 50 of those were on 98% of the regular rooms. And then like 100 of those were on like 2 different rooms, and then like 250 of them were all on the very last puzzle. Like wildly just like imbalanced in terms of where I put my deaths.
I'd say I'm probably around that same as you. It's like, there's a couple moments where you're just like, why is this one so much harder? And then you go to the next one, you're like, oh, okay, it's not too bad. Like, I don't know.
This is hard to describe, but I think it'll make sense to anyone that's played it. because you're falling and it has like momentum and gravity where you kind of like accelerate to a maximum speed. You often you'll find yourself in a situation, we're going like full game design mode here, where there's like a ceiling of spikes and close to it is one of those red crystals. So you need to fall towards it and actually flip before you get to the red crystal, because you'll need to slow down to like start falling the other way and kind of at the apex of that hit the red crystal to collect it. And then often need to at the bottom do that again near another one and like snake in that way, which can be really hard because depending on like the exact frame you press the button and like your momentum, it's a difficult thing to build muscle memory for, because sometimes you're coming at crystals faster or slower than your previous attempt. And so it's a type of thing that I think speedrunners will not ever have a problem with it. They will cruise through that. But sometimes to the layman in those particular puzzles, it almost felt like bordering RNG, because my brain was having to do so much like freaking physics calculations in my head in real time that it was hard for me to get a true sense for. But it might have also just been that it was, midnight and I should have already gone to bed, but I knew I was on the last puzzle and maybe I should have just waited till tomorrow, one of those situations.
Yeah. Come back and try again. Yeah. When I got stuck on I think like you said, it's like maybe 3 of these or maybe 4. I don't remember, but it's like only a handful. I got like stuck for longer than 2 seconds. Cause like usually the stage is like a minute or less, 30 seconds. So there was a couple I was on there for like 5-ish minutes, maybe 20, on the last one. But what I ended up doing a lot is the background so detailed. I actually found where like I need to press that flip button like right when the character hits this scene part of the background. So I'm like, okay, when she hits this specific lamp, I'm gonna press the square button and flip right here, and then kind of got that rhythm down that way. That's how I ended up learning and getting like mastering the harder stages in this. But it's a fun unique take on this type of thing, because like VVV you just flip and flip. It's not really momentum based as much. There are some areas like that, but this one is like it kind of takes best of both worlds. It really does feel like it almost plays so similarly to like what you would imagine Celeste playing. You can imagine how the gameplay feels, and then add in just like this unique little, I guess, flip to the mechanics. It feels good. It feels good in your hands.
Yes, it usually did, I would say. And we were not talking about the story. There is story kind of peppered all throughout. Sometimes in some surprising places, and it's got an interesting narrative. It's like, I would say I understand the core story, but there's maybe some elements that I don't fully understand. That's kind of true of a lot of horror games sometimes, where you're like, all right, I sort of understand it, but like maybe I don't know all the mechanics of what's going on. Even like the second time the game surprises and delights, I'll say, I was like, yeah, this is cool, but narratively I'm not really 100% sure exactly what I should take away from this.
It's like more of a feeling.
Yeah,
than
it's a vibe. It's a vibe story for sure. There is a narrative, but it's a vibe story too. And that way, again, very Twin Peaksy, right? Where you're like, you could follow the minute.
It's like, I get what's going on. I kind of understand what the plot line is, the A to B to the C, but how do we get there? It's kind of hazy and kind of weird and out there. But I like that feeling. This is like you were saying at the beginning. This is definitely probably an October play that you randomly played in February.
Yeah,
really. Yeah,
I was like, my brain was like, I mean, how horror-y could it really be for a precision platformer? In hindsight, it's like, this would have made a great October stream game. It would have been a single stream, horror adjacent,
And you can flex on people, like, look how good I am, I'm a god gamer,
It's true. I don't know if this is still true, but I was on PlayStation Profiles the fastest achiever to get all of the trophies when I finished it last night. But there's also only like 10 people that have played it, so it's not a particularly big flex. I think that's everything that I would want to say about it. Josh, anything that you felt like you're leaving out? I didn't, I guess, talk about some of the more like component aspects. There's not like a ton of music, for example. It's again, it's horror-y, so it's like tones and ooh sounds and stuff like that.
Some,
It's more
some like
atmospheric.
piano, like discordant, like piano chords here, stuff like that. Just like,
Yeah.
and then the thing comes at you, like nothing too crazy.
Yeah, the like all the strings at once going when something happens.
Yep.
So, anything else you think I should have covered?
No, I think that's pretty much covers all the game without the spoilery bits. But I think the spoilery bits make this game just like a really nice, like, oh yeah, that was a good puzzle, precision platformer, and it kind of elevates it just a little more. Just the tone, the graphics, and then that. So I'm curious where you're leaning for quest log in this one because of the little twists it has.
Yes. So this is in terms of placement, a phenomenally weird game.
Yeah.
Seth, your thoughts?
Well, before you got there, I was going to first make a statement, and I'm not trying to drag this game at all for this, but I wonder what your guys' thoughts were on the font choice, because the font choice, as I'm looking through screenshots, I'm just like, that is way too Arial for me. Like, it's just so...
Did not cross my mind.
It didn't bother me, no, to be honest.
That's good. All right. That's probably just a me thing.
I don't know. I don't know what graphic designer you have inside your heart, but I was completely fine with it. Yes.
But outside of that, I am most interested from the start of this conversation, and it being the game that I think you guys have related to the most, and I related it to when I spoke, was Celeste. Mm-hmm. And we all know, the three of us certainly, and probably everybody listening, how Josh feels about Celeste. Mm-hmm. So, and maybe lesser people, but the three of us also know how Steve feels about Celeste. So this is a very interesting game that you both played.
Yes.
I am very excited to hear where you would both put it on the quest log. So,
okay. I don't really have any complaints. I would have nothing that rises to the level of a complaint about this game. Truly, like, the closest I would get is, like I said, the difficulty's uneven and to my tastes skewed a little easy. And there's not a lot of variety to it. Maybe the biggest bummer from the precision platformer side, if I was going to levy a criticism, is, and this is not even fair because it's not really the type of game it is, but it doesn't have anything extra to do. Like Celeste has the strawberries, Meat Boy has the bandages. Mm-hmm. There's no secrets to find. There's no like go above and beyond optional anything. It's just A to B the entire game. Or if it's in there, it is both hidden so well that I never found a single one, and there are no achievements tied to it. So they're really obscuring that fact.
I don't think there is any, honestly. I didn't see anything either. Like, I think it's just an A to B. You just play the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, to me, this is and Josh said this up front, I didn't have any real reason to knock the game, but I just don't find myself passionately wanting to champion it either. Like, to me, this is a classic, like 7.5, 8 out of 10 experience, which we mentioned up top is kind of like the round down into a side quest. But Josh, I get the sense that you were coming in passionate main quest. If I was to guess.
No, I mean, honestly, this one when I first played it, I was like, that was probably a side quest, or like it's kind of like on the edge. And then I thought about it a little bit more. I was like, maybe that's a main quest because of the cool twists. And then I was like, maybe it's a side. It's like one of those ones where it was just like, as I thought about it, because I think I played it about a week ago. So I've had a week to think about it. Every day I'd wake up and think, oh no, it's a main quest. No, it's a side quest. So it's kind of like teeter-tottering for me because it has that little bit of special sauce to it.
It does.
Yeah, but like you said, the actual puzzle or the precision platformer stuff isn't like going to like destroy your thumbs or anything difficult wise. I do think if you're new to the genre, you're going to have some issues with it. But this, for the sickos out there, this is going to be, you're going to get through it no problem. Yeah, I'd have to agree that it's a side quest, but to me, maybe tomorrow if I woke up, I would probably still think like maybe that's like this could be like on my top 10, like near the end, probably type of feeling.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Because it's You know what I mean? This is gonna be like my number 9 of the year, and I'd be like pretty happy with that because it's like a good, like you said, a good 8. I'd give it like an 8.5. You know, like almost to a 9.
Okay.
Maybe if it had just a few more tricks up its sleeve, like from like the precision platformer side, or like you said, some secrets to find and things like that, that might have pushed it just a little bit more that way to, you know, that 9 or 10. But dude, this game rocks though. I do think everybody should give it a shot.
Exactly. It's very cool. Again, we've threatened to tier list it, but if I was ever tier listing the side quest, I would put this at like an A tier side quest game. You know, it's in certainly upper crust, and yeah, it's really cool. I recommend people check it out. It's so far one of my favorite games that I've played this year, but just wasn't the lightning bolt oh dang moment that I hope for out of a main quest. So, I welcome your hate mail. I welcome your feedback. It's a cool game, but I'm going to put it on the side quest. Seth, you should play it for sure by the end of the year.
Yeah. It is
like
the
it.
right length and price to just pick up and play at some point, even like an October play. So we'll see.
Yeah, $10. So people, go check it out. Very fun.
All right. Well, I did have a backup just in case. I in the back of my mind, I was like, did Steve play this game? Because it was on your wish list, so it was on your radar. So I wasn't sure on that one. So hey, you know, that's I guess it's going to end up happening more often. Maybe we should always have a back pocket game just in case, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I should have like 3 sheets of notes just ready for stuff.
Yeah.
I had some notes for another game, so I pulled them up as we were talking. I want to bring Hermit and Pig to the show today.
Oh,
so
cool.
Little turn-based RPG that came out recently with a very, very cute and charming art style. Very Cartoon Network, I'd say, is what I get from it. Crossed with maybe a little bit of Earthbound energy. You know, it's very bright, vibrant, cozy. You're in like city environments and forest and things, you know, and you use very basic attacks to fight bugs with turn-based attacks. So, how you guys familiar with this game very much, or know anything about it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's been a demo out for a while. Is that right? I feel like I watched someone play a demo on stream, but I don't remember who, as I was just like scrolling through Twitch at one point. But it looks really cool. It may very well have been Chip Dip, which everyone remember that screen name.
Yeah.
But it looks like a super cool game, especially if you're into this kind of game. Like if you're not into this kind of game, then you wouldn't want to play it. But it's one of those.
Josh, did you tell me about this game? It's on my wish list, and in my head, you are the one that told me about it, but maybe not. Maybe we learned
I
about
might
it.
have mentioned it on here, I think.
Okay,
maybe at one point,
yeah.
like, hey, I'm playing this or something, like a few weeks ago. Maybe that's when you threw it on there. Yeah. Yeah, the graphics art style is really cool. It's a 16-bit JRPG style game. You have top-down view. You're going through. You play as Hermit, and you have your little buddy with you named Pig. And it's just a pig. It's a truffle pig. Everything is mushroom related in this storyline. You fight woodland creatures. You fight raccoons. You fight bugs. You fight spiders. You fight after a while you fight like these little like gremlin dudes that are green. They're kind of cool looking. You fight the authorities when you go to the city. It's very, you know, you're doing little turn-based combats against these characters. And the thing that's kind of special about this one is all the conversation and dialogue is a turn-based battle as well. And, you know, Hermit, he's just really a nervous guy. He's like always like anxious about everything. So when he's, you know, I can relate to that. And when he's talking to people, it has a timer and it has 3 options. And usually there's something obviously incorrect, but maybe you just select that to take 1 point of HP damage when you get that incorrect, just because it's funny. You know, a lot of the lines are really funny and quirky. So it's a game that doesn't really take itself too seriously, I'll say. It does have a storyline where the town is being run by this evil corporation that is taking over its resources, and they are kind of running out of food because of this factory and things. So your goal as Hermit is to find this giant fungus called the Jumbo Fungo and save the town by feeding them a giant truffle. So it's not the deepest story out there, but you end up meeting a bunch of really fun characters. You get a little found family, you know, like any JRPG would do. And the combo in the combat system, I almost said combo system because that's what it is when you select an option to do like a fight attack, it's like a 3 to 5 button combo that you'll enter. So you'll find like one of the bad guys are weak to stomp. You can actually have Pig do like a scan attack. Pig is one of the characters that can fight in there. So you can do like a scan attack to the bad guys. Oh, this guy's weak to stomp, so I have to push up, down to do the stomp attack. And you can have up to 3 attacks when you get to like near the end of the game. And you have to just get really fast at entering those button combos and learn those button combos. And there's about 6 to 8 of them to learn throughout the game. And that's basically the premise of all the fights is you're on a timer. And then whenever somebody tries to attack you, you actually get like basically like a golf game timing little mini game to like hit the counterattack, which is kind of fun. So it's a lot of active battle stuff thrown in there on top of the turn-based combat here.
Interesting. You said do you have to memorize the inputs, or do they show you the inputs for the moves as you enter them?
Yeah, so the thing that's cool about that is there's a journal in your little menu that you can click, and it shows those icons like the movements, all of them. You can just go down, scroll through them. But that's still going as the timer's going. So you can like, if you don't know the attacks by heart, you're like, okay, what was slingshot? Is like left, right, down, up, A, or, left, right, down, up. Okay, I need to do that really quickly. Go back to the other part of the menu and enter that before this little bar decreases and goes away. Obviously, you can get items in the environment, different types of mushrooms that will give you like status effects that will help out. Like make that timer basically not move for 60 seconds, not take damage for 60 seconds, increase your damage output for 30 seconds. You can give like poison to enemies by throwing mushrooms at them. A lot of little like things to make the combat not so repetitive and interesting. Through the runtime's about 10 hours for this one. So
oh wow, I
think they did a pretty good job until maybe like the 6 or 7 hour mark, and I'm like, okay, these combat, it starts to be so muscle memory what to do that's just like do. Okay, that guy's dead. Let's go to the next guy. And you just like there's like the challenge just goes out the window really. And then a lot of times there will throw like a boss attack at you, or a boss guy that'll have like a lot of hit points or a lot of damage, and it's just like a war of attrition. And you got to like really plan everything out, and they can just hit you with like the most powerful attack, or like you're trying to do like a counter, and that thing's going like super fast, and you can't just quite hit it just right to counter, and you'll have to retry some stuff over and over again, or at least I did. But I don't know. I think the combo and the combat system works really well for what it is, and like I said, it's just a kind of a campy little game, fun characters, and that just adds to kind of its quirky nature, I'd say. Any questions?
Is there a need at all for grinding, Josh, or is it very much just like battle to battle, make your way through, and almost everyone's going to take around the same time with this game?
Yeah, I'd say that you can grind if you really want to. Like, you can go back to previous areas, but I think they kind of shy you away from doing that because a lot of the zones will kind of either get blocked off, or bad guys just won't spawn anymore after you defeat them. Oh, okay. So I was like stuck on a boss near the end because like it doesn't really, like I said, it's pretty like rinse repeat until like the ending, and then they throw like basically a boss wall at you to like beat the game. And I was like, well, this area seems like it's kind of designed to grind a little bit, maybe get some extra materials and some extra mushrooms to like cure status effects and stuff like that. So I think that's the only zone they really do that. The rest of the time, I just found it pretty easy just to go from point A to point B, kill all the guys in the way, and solve the little puzzles they have and stuff. It's a pretty easy breezy game for the most part.
Okay. I am infinitely and forever down for a 10-hour RPG.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's amazing.
Now, the most important part of any RPG that I need to know, is the battle theme a banger?
It's good.
That's not a banger.
I don't know if I'll get to banger levels, but I had it. I was humming it here and there. I liked it quite a bit. So
I mean,
it has like a surf rock vibe to it. It's like how you can hear the bass like don 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 don, like in the back. You know, like it has a pretty good like surf rocky vibe, and it works for the tone of the game because you know it's kind of silly and goofy the whole time. So
as long as you're not getting sick of hearing it, right? Because that's the song you're going to be hearing more often than anything else. So you got to be very comfortable with hearing that opening sting several times.
Yeah, they have that, and what I noticed is so there's like 3 areas to the game. You start in the forest, you go to the city, and then you go like to the factory area to, you know, get the ending and stuff. There might be 4, but each area will have that battle theme, and it's just a little twinge towards that area. So when you're in the forest, you get a little bit more fantasy feeling version of it. When you're in the city, it feels a little more industrial version of it. So it's that same rhythm over and over, but they kind of flip it depending on what the scenery and the characters you're fighting look like. So that's always a nice little touch.
Nah, I do like that.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So this game just go ahead.
I was just gonna, did you say is this only on Steam?
It's on Switch as well, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not on PlayStation yet, unfortunately.
I mean, I have a Switch too. I can play it on a Switch.
Yeah, you could, but there's no trophies there. So,
Yeah.
I do think so you know, like most games have summons or like a big power up that you can do. The thing that's cool about this is they kind of go into WarioWare mini games for those. So it's like, all right, you have to. So the pig has one where it like stuns enemies, or if they're weaker enemies, that'll actually make them run. And it's like these speech bubbles that are coming at you, and you have to hit button combos to kind of shy them away. And then, you know, you do it depending on how many bad guys are there. And then there's like one where Hermit wants to do a huge slam attack, and you have to do kind of like a really fast like rhythm game up to like 6 layers of that. So I thought that was fun that they added a little bit more of that. Here's that button combo thing, but flip it on its head a little bit. Let's try some new things. The main 2 people you have in your party for the entire game is Hermit and Pig. You don't really pick anybody else up that will fight. It's those 2 have basically the offense and defense of your quote unquote party. And then there will be people that'll follow you around and will do like random attacks for you, like as you meet them and do things with them for their missions. So
nice.
You're not building out like a squad or anything. It's just you're managing these 2 characters and their items and abilities.
Very cool.
All right. I think this game is. Do you guys have any questions before I put on the quest log? By the way,
I think
okay.
It's a great looking game.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yes.
It is super cool. You know, it's a little bit zany just from looking at it, and I can absolutely get with that.
Yeah, this honestly, I've been telling myself I've been trying to play more JRPGs, and I've been enjoying them. Every time I pick one to play it lately, I've been having a good time. This is not any slouch either. But I think it doesn't get to the main quest tier for me. I think it does everything very exceptionally. It's very funny and very, very lighthearted. You're going to have a smile on your face the entire time you play this game because it's just joyful. It's a very joyful game. I personally really enjoyed it. But I think that there's just not much to chew on here for like gameplay. And then like the story is pretty light. It's very cartoony. You know what you're in for. You're not going to be like, this is my 10 out of 10 masterpiece of the year, but I really recommend it still. So it is a nice, cozy side quest for me.
Love it.
Heck yeah.
I'm glad I had one in my pocket, though, for that one, though. Like, I played that one. I was like, hey, maybe I'll bring that in a couple months or something. But, hey, you know, here I am bringing it today.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good game, though. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's one that has absolutely been on my radar for a while just because of seeing the demo played. You've talked about it, so glad to hear that it was quest log worthy, I suppose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, I suppose I will leave it to me at the end here, and I am bringing a game today that I am pretty confident neither of you will have heard of. But I do think that both of you might enjoy the look or kind of what this game is going for. So I played a game called Marbles.
That's such a Seth ass game name.
Yeah, it's like, what was that one? Berry, and then Marble.
Yeah, no kidding. That is so funny. 2 in a row of this, yeah. which was not at all planned. I didn't think about that at all. I had honestly already planned on playing this game a little bit, even when I brought Berry. But for anybody at home, it is just marbles. But the first one is like, it's marble is somebody's name, and they're possessing marbles. And that is how we get to marbles. So you guys are looking at some screenshots while you're doing that, or watching some trailerage while you're doing that. It came out this year, so we all brought 2026 games today. January 7th. It was developed by James Oliver, and it is on PC only currently. It is a physics-based, top-down, marble-rolling platformer, a.k.a. very similar to Marble Madness on the NES. Mm-hmm. So, now I suppose I've probably given you guys enough time. How you feeling about what this game looks like?
It looks awesome. It looks so good.
Yeah, it looks fun.
It looks like
really fun.
Marble Madness by way of Monkey Ball, but maybe like more of like an adventure.
You would, yeah. I see what you're meaning by the adventure part, but it is very stage based.
Okay.
So it is not. It would be super cool if it was like, we're going on different worlds and things like that. And in theory, it is different worlds. There are 4 different worlds that you traverse, but each of them just has 5 stages within. And it is very much a score chaser in that way. It is, I start here, I need to get over there. To me, it is very much a 32-bit Marble Madness with a lot of additional polish compared to that old NES game. So it has that 3/4 like top-down view where you're kind of like looking over. You can't really look over the ball's shoulder because it is a ball, but it is a marble. But it does give you, it's not straight top-down. It gives you that angle. And it is isometric. Whenever you flip the screen, because you can flip the screen 1/4 turns, it specifically, most of the time when you are actually rolling the marble, you're not rolling it straight. It's you're always rolling it on an angle in different places, right? So that's just the way they wanted the game presented, I suppose. Music, it is chill vibes mostly, but there are a couple areas that have some eerie music, especially there's this one dark, like dungeony level or world, I should say, that's got 5 levels in it. And that's got some eerie, spooky kind of themes. But for the most part, it's kind of electronic, synth type music. Honestly, it reminded me a lot of the One Shot soundtrack in certain places. Just kind of that like chill, but also haunting and spooky a little bit at the same time, but still makes you feel good somehow. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the music in this game, and it certainly suited what was going on in the gameplay portion. There is no story. As you can imagine, you're a marble, and you're rolling, and you're just going over some platforms. There's no reason for there to be a story. It's pretty basic in that way. Honestly, there's hardly any words. Every once in a while, there will be a sign on screen that tells you to jump, and you jump at that time. It tells you a little bit about how to play it. You can press pause at any time, and when you do, it will tell you exactly the things you can do. Use the left stick to move the marble. Use the right stick or shoulder buttons to turn the screen. That's it. Have fun. Yep. And as it is with a lot of these kinds of, well, there aren't, I guess, a whole lot of them. The one that I always think of is Marble Madness, of course, but with that game specifically, that's all you were really doing then. The frustrating thing, and I don't know if you guys played much Marble Madness growing up or recently, but it controls like an NES game, which never lends to good marble rolling physics. Marbles has excellent controls. Like, that cannot be taken from it. You use that left stick, you roll that marble around, it does exactly what you think it's going to do. The cool thing is there are certain sections that make it so you need to apply more force to how quickly the marble is rolling. Sometimes you're going to be going up a slope, And so you really got to crank that left stick to kind of and angle it in such a way that it's going to go and climb that hill. But if it was on a flat plane, it would go really quickly and be hard to control. There even gets to a point, and it's very early on, so I don't think it's heavy spoiler or anything, but there are rails, of course, where you can kind of slot your marble into and it can roll down a path or something like that. Well, very, very quickly into this game, there are some rails that are tilted upwards. They're vertical. So you've got one on top and one on the bottom. And it's like, how do I need to get the marble up on the top rail and like try to very like gently guide it down that path? It doesn't seem like that's feasible. Turns out what you have to do is you need to apply enough force to the stick to make it so the marble is turning upwards and forwards to keep it along that vertical rail, which is super fun, right? Very cool, very good physics-based circular object platformer, I guess, in this way, right? So, Steve mentioned Monkey Ball. It does some of that stuff too. You're not, behind the monkey. You're always looking down at the marble, but it does a lot of that, and it feels extremely satisfying to control. There are obstacles, of course. Beyond just going too fast and falling off the course, there are also things that will be in your way. You have to move out of the way. Other marbles at times or rocks or something like that. Crates. Sometimes there are even things swinging along the path that are trying to knock you off, as there are in many platformers and such. But, the precariousness, I suppose, of how the marble controls, even though it controls extremely well, it is still a round object that is going to fall off at any corner if you're not very careful about how you're controlling it. But the big thing about this game, it does lend itself to speed, as you can imagine. And I think on Steam, the developer actually put something on Steam a little while back that said, "Oh, this Marbles was on Games Done Quick." Right? It is very much a speed runner type experience, if you want it to be. Now, initially, as I was playing through the first couple levels, the first world or two, I was like, oh, I could absolutely get down with trying to learn how to go as quickly as possible through these levels. But as I got later on into the game, things were screeching a little bit more to a halt in some different ways. And I'll touch on that in a moment. But before I get there, there are 3 different objects, I suppose, to each level, right? There are 3 stars that you can collect, but they're not collectible in the way that you're like, oh, I need to go find that star. You can get a point star, which basically means I get enough points to either get a gold, silver, or bronze star. You can get a Death Star, which is kind of funny, but Star Wars reference, I suppose. But also, it is if I don't die at all throughout a level, I will get a gold. If I die a couple times, I will get a silver. If I die a couple more times, bronze. And if I die more than that, then I just don't get a Death Star at all. And then there is also an Hourglass Star. So it is a platformer in a way, right? So there is a collectible in every single level, and those are hourglasses. So it'll actually tell you in the upper right-hand corner of the screen how many hourglasses are in the level you're playing. And the hourglasses will just be a little bit off the beaten path. Sometimes you can see them as you're just going through the level proper, but you kind of need to scale down maybe a more narrow path, or find a way to get to that hourglass that is a little bit different than the rest of how you're kind of getting through, right? It's a little bit more challenging. So the goal is to get gold stars on every single level that you can, right? The cool thing is, yes, you can go for gold stars, all 3 gold stars on each and every level as you're playing them, but it doesn't punish you from getting a gold star and then like maybe on the hourglass front, which maybe also got you a point star because hourglasses are worth points, but maybe you died a couple times. You can also just go back and be extremely careful and then get the no Death Star, right? And then you'll have golded the whole thing. You don't have to do it all in one run. But the speedrunners, I assume, would want to at least do the no death, right? Mm-hmm. Because the no death means that you got through it as quickly as possible. So cool thing is you can play this game in a lot of different ways. Initially, I was going for get as many gold stars as possible. Towards the later levels, I was going for get to the end because things ramp up. So you guys are looking at some screenshots. There is a world that is covered in darkness. I mentioned a little bit already. And to me, that world took it maybe a step too far in the goofy, like NES style difficulty.
Okay.
You can't really see anything. Like, that's the whole point. I mean, you can. It's not pitch black, so you can mostly see things, and there's a spotlight around the marble. But there are often times where I would just fall down a pit that I had no idea was going to be there because it's dark and I can't see anything. So I get it. I'm not putting the game down, putting the dev down for including that. But it did feel a little bit cheap sometimes. I felt like I could not avoid certain deaths. So when I got to that level, I was mostly just plowing through. Would I want to go back and get all gold stars in that? Maybe. I don't know. It was pretty frustrating for me. But I will say that after I finished that level off, there was a cool like pinball level, and I loved the game again, right? There was that type of thing. So 3 out of 4 worlds were A+, but man, that darkness level was just a little bit frustrating. So beyond that, I think that pretty much covers everything that goes on in Marbles. Do you guys have any questions before I put on the quest log?
I just want to say that I really like the trend of the PS1-ish looking like graphics, because I feel like this has some of that vibes to it with the kind of, you could see the pixels on the edge of the ball. You know what I mean? Like, It has a little bit of crunchiness to it. I love that.
It is an extremely satisfying graphical experience. I will say that for sure. It feels awesome to play, and it feels awesome to look at. So,
just an observation, I will say I just like the idea of that, like, you lose 1 point per second. It's ticking down, and so it takes away the pressure of like actually finishing a level under a time constraint, but you still feel a time pressure. It's like a minor thing, but I feel like that's a good innovation to make the game feel a little more welcoming relative to Marble Madness, where some of those levels of Marble Madness, you have like so little time that you make a single mistake and you like, I literally can't finish this level now.
Yeah, this is very much a casual, if you want to play casual, form of Marble Madness. Marbles can be as casual as you want it to be. Yes, will you get probably frustrated if you're not very good? Probably. But it is never going to punish you. If you are absolutely awful, atrocious, terrible at this game, the worst that can happen is you keep losing points, like Steve said. You crank up your deaths more and more, and you're not going to get the star on your deaths, but you're still going to get to the finish line eventually if you persevere. It's unlike Marble Madness, which is completely NES difficulty. This only has portions of that, and I think it is very well probably by design that some of that stuff was put into this because it wanted to give you that nostalgic feel. But it is mostly 98% of the time a very well polished, very cool, very fun game.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
I wanted to mention, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to mention that the 2 games on Steam that are similar, according to my Steam profile, is Love Eternal and Haste, which I think is kind of an interesting like recommendation based off of things I've played previously, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mine's a little off. Mine is saying UFO 50 and ooh, which I'm not so sure is a good match.
I'm not sure about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny because you were mentioning earlier, Josh, both of you were talking about, precision platformer. And this isn't the same. Like, when we think precision platformer, we're thinking Meat Boy, we're thinking Celeste. But this is a different form of precision platformer. You are trying to be precise and moving around this 3D world and need to do it the correct way. I would say that for the most part, anybody that wants to play this game is not going to have a hard time finishing it. It might take you a little bit of time, but it isn't extremely punishing. And I should have checked to see what this did, but in the options, there is a checkbox that you can click that says like low impact death. So when I would die in this game, you reset to a checkpoint that you can hover, you roll across. I think low impact death would basically mean you die in a place and it just spawns you where you died and you keep on rolling, which would be very cool for somebody who didn't care about, understanding or going with the difficulty that the developer intended, right? So, but with all that, Marbles, very cool game. I don't even understand or know why I stumbled upon this game, but I did, and I'm happy I did because it is a very cool, very not well served form of precision platforming at this time.
Yeah.
So very cool that somebody got in on that market because that marble rolling is fun and nostalgic for a lot of people. But with all that, Marbles for me is a side quest. It does a lot well. It does most of what it's doing extremely well. I would say that there were a few frustrating points. The one darkness world was a little bit overly frustrating, to be honest with you. Not huge detraction or taking off points for that. I think that was part of the intention. But in general, it's a fairly short playthrough. It's 2 to 3 hours, and most people are going to get through it, at least getting through it, just finishing all levels. So it feels like the type of game that was almost developed from the ground up to be a little bit of a side quest game, in my opinion. And, a few here and there detractions that kind of is why it landed in that side quest category for me. I do feel that the two of you would enjoy this game, though. And I would love to hear your thoughts if you guys play it, or anybody out there decides to play. Email your thoughts in. But that's Marbles, and it is a side quest game.
Nice 3-hour game. I can't complain about that. I bought, just a side tangent. I ordered a Steam Deck OLED. I caved and finally upgraded to an OLED. It comes next week. I'm so excited. So, because I just figured the RAM shortages, I don't know if they're going to do another model of Steam Deck anytime soon. Yeah. So I'm like, well, might as well have the nicest one since this is the thing I play most of the time. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah.
That'll be awesome. I need to order a Steam Deck at all. So,
yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I was waiting for the Steam Machine, which is feeling increasingly like vaporware at this point. So, might just be Steam Deck time.
Yeah. Anyway, for the love of mushrooms and marbles, these are the games we brought today. I just came up with the title of the episode right there. Okay, anyway, we got Love Eternal. Both, I originally planned to bring it, but Steve brought it today. So we got another crossover.
Take that.
That is a nice, cozy side quest, I'd say, but I would say that it would be a banger main quest for a certain audience member here. Yeah. I know there would be an audience member that would make this a main quest because it has that special sauce to it. Mm-hmm. It's a really cool game. And then Hermit and Pig, which is a really nice, good, cozy, turn your brain off and just enjoy some good comedy and just really bright and fun characters type of experience. That was a nice cozy side quest. And then we had a third side quest, which, people say we never put things on the side quest, but hey, we proved them wrong today. We got Marbles, that Seth brought, which is a nice, cozy ball roller game, I guess, or Marble Madness game. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Potomax is going to have a good time with that because I know he plays all those. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. We have a few campfire chats. I can read the first one here. We got a text message from an anonymous individual that says, catching up on the backlog. Really appreciate you showing love to the little games. In reply to Strange Jigsaws, if you loved it, Fleb, the creator, also made 20 small mazes. It's an absolute treat, too. Which I feel like we've heard that from a couple people, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of on board for anything that Dev has made based on the experience I had with Strange Jigsaws. That's such a good game, such a unique concept for a lot of that, so I'd be down.
Darn right.
I'll just read all three of these because they're all three pretty short. Why not? Another one we got from a Spotify comment from Knox. They say, I have a PlayStation friend who's developing in indie. It's called 03 Hollow Descent. maybe you guys should check it out. That would be a real big dog move.
Hell yeah, big dog.
I looked at that game. Honestly, it looks like top-down isometric Returnal. So, seems kind of cool. One to keep your eye on, I suppose.
Sweet.
Good promo for the homie.
Yeah, there we go. I'll put the name of the in the description. That name will be down there. So if you guys want to look it up, there it is. It'll be down in the doobly-doo. Go check it out. And then we got a comment from Greg Miller. He says Josh is my big dog, and I just had to shout that out because I've been watching Greg Miller stuff for 15 plus years, basically since I've been listening to podcasts. So that was such a cool little moment for me to see that. So hey, if you're listening now, Greg, thanks for checking out the show. That means a lot to me, and us, obviously. But, it's like, damn, that was cool, just to see his name on there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very much appreciated.
All right, that's going to do it for our Campfire Chat. Lead us right into the plug. So if you want to be read on a Campfire Chat, leave us a comment on Spotify. We actually usually poll those, so you can go there. You can send us a text message like the person from New York did. I can say that says that on there, and it'll be anonymous. It does say your city and state, but it doesn't say your name, so you can remain at least mostly anonymous. If you're from Germany, we might know who you are, or etc. Also, you can send us emails, IndieQuestPod@gmail.com, or follow the show on Blue Sky at IndieQuestPod. Also, you can find the quest log, IndieQuestPod@gmail.com. Everything's IndieQuestPod. You probably could find it if you've typed that into the browser bar there. Anyway, Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
Blue Sky, and more than that, on Twitch as Blinkoom. Blink-O-O-M. What about you, Seth?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Captain Drachma, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, the best place on the internet. And if you want to get into that Discord, head on over to Patreon, search up Polymedia, jump into the tier that gets you into the Discord, and come and hang out with us. Josh, where can I find you?
You can find me at Josh Leslie on Blue Sky, and also my other podcast, which is called The Monthly Mishap, which is an entertainment show I do with our buddy Scotch and Hobbies. Their recent episode, we just released it about a week ago, probably almost 2 by the time you listen to this, was about Rollerball, the original from the 70s, and the remake, which I had never seen, that was a fun conversation, and of a Netflix show I really liked called The Fall of the House of Usher, and you can see what our reactions are to that, and then a lot of other conversation. That's a pretty meaty show, so go check that out if you haven't already. All right. I think that's going to do it for our show. You can find more podcasts like this at polymedianetwork.com. Obviously, we love all those shows over there. But, Steve, why don't you close us out today with some good parting words for all the folks that are listening?
Sure. I'm just going to make the assumption, pretty safe assumption, I think, that all of our listeners probably live in the Midwest just like me. And as a result, it's starting to warm up a little bit. We're hitting the 50s. We're tickling the 50s from time to time. So I'm sure you're already listening to us in your car, but I want you to roll down them windows, take a big whiff of that fresh air, and just remember that according to us today, 2026 is the year of the side quest.